Welcome to What Just Happened, Shop Talk Edition, where I sit down with Paul Toms, CMO of Wayfair. Hey everyone, we're welcoming Paul Toms, CMO of Wayfair. Hey Paul.
Hello.
It's great to see you. What an exciting quarter Wayfair had. It's been a journey and it returned to annual growth for the first time since 2020.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
has been a journey. It's exciting.
So we've got posting $12.5 billion in 2025 sales, a 5.1 increase following year-over-year decline in 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we're here at Shop Talk, and a lot of the success, I'm sure, is attributed to innovation, and I'm happy to talk to you about what's going on in your world. I know the marketing budget was cut, and you were part of that because you were really leaning against performance marketing.
Yeah.
Share with us where you stand.
We view advertising as a big driver of our growth. We think of marketing as a growth investment, not as a cost. But this year we've been doing a lot of experimentation, and Neeraj talked about that on our earnings call. To us, this last year has been a lot about finding some of those areas of our media investment where we weren't really seeing any return and shifting that money into some of the newer areas where we're seeing really great results. Things like the creator economy and influencer marketing are growing really quickly. A lot of our AI-led inspiration that we've launched over the last couple of quarters is really growing quite well. And so what we've been able to do is, in aggregate, like you said, reduce our overall marketing expense, but underneath that, replenish a lot of that with really exciting content-led advertising, which we're really finding is resonant with customers and is driving a lot of business outcomes too.
It's modernization of the spend.
It is. Yeah, and I think you said it's been a journey, and it has. I think what's been important for us and for our team to understand is it should always be a journey, right? I think as soon as you find the thing that works, you're on to the next thing, and these things all have limited shelf lives, and so it's constantly about keeping up really with the customer and where they're spending their time, the content that they're consuming, and evolving yourself always to be authentic and relevant in those spaces.
So one of the areas that I understand is being prioritized and therefore the dollars of investment follow is loyalty.
Sure.
Tell me about that.
We launched Wayfair Rewards last year, and it's been a huge success. So that's our loyalty program where customers can sign up for $29 a year and they can get 5% back. They can get early access on all of our promos, and they have free shipping on everything. We built this really on the back of a lot of our customer feedback. We just looked for friction points, areas where customers were saying they were choosing to go shop with someone. People who were buying with Wayfair telling us that they were for something else going to buy with someone else, and we said, hey, I think we can put something together that will work for everyone and be really exciting for these customers. And so if you think about someone redecorating, which is a big part of our customer base, when you're redecorating, you're not just buying one thing, right? You're not just buying a sofa. You're probably buying a sofa and a coffee table and the rug that goes under it and the tables, the side tables, and so on. And something like Wayfair Rewards makes immediate sense for someone who's doing a big project. And we're seeing it really resonate with our customer base and drive some exciting growth for sure.
It's exciting to see. I think loyalty it's back as being important. It's always been an important part of retail strategy. I think the industry got distracted by performance marketing and then the quality of customer.
Of course.
And you feel really strongly about that.
Yes. Any brand, I think, should start from serving their existing customer base better and better. And I think whether it's becoming obsessed with performance marketing or whether it's just the ease of getting in front of new customers, which folks haven't had in the past, at a certain point that caps out, right? And I think if you want to build a large, lasting, resonant brand that customers come back to over and over, you have to solve for your core customer base first. And so that's how we look at Wayfair Rewards. That's how we look at our continual investments in our assortment. We're doing a lot with a program called Wayfair Verified, which really helps folks narrow down to the best items in the catalog, whether it's investments that we make behind the scenes into our fulfillment network or into physical retail, which is a huge part of establishing a longer-term relationship with the customer. All of those things are things where we feel like we're investing in our core customer base and appreciating them more.
And you are growing your physical retail, which we'll get into, but I want to know if anyone's ever called you a pragmatic CMO, because everything you lean into is grounded.
I haven't heard that, but I appreciate it. I don't know if you're saying that.
I'm saying that.
But then I really appreciate it. We do try to be pragmatic. We try to stay grounded. We try to stay curious and humble. And I think more than anything, just stay connected with the customers because they'll generally tell you where you need to go.
One example of that also is the buzz. You broke the internet when you made creatives accountable using AI. I'm happy to talk about it here and have my audience hear about it. Tell us about that.
It's funny. If you put the customer at the center of it, and you say where are customers spending their time, they're spending a lot of time on social. They're spending a lot of time on scrolling on Instagram or on TikTok. They're in these areas where advertising is very content-led, right? When you're scrolling by an ad in the feed, you choose whether to accept it or reject it based on whether it's something that feels authentic and resonant to you. And so what we found more and more was that when we thought about advertising performance, it really came down to how good is the content. And then we also found that our creators, whether they were internal or external, were behind layers of strategy, of management, of approval, of briefs, and they actually felt no accountability for the business outcomes, even though their work was what was driving the outcomes the most. And so we said, what if we just reinvented that? What if we just put our creatives in the driver's seat, said, you're now accountable, you own this, you're in control, let's go make it happen, let's support you, and let's go. Let's build great stuff for customers. And it was really well received internally. I'll tell you, our creative team loves it because they like to own and have accountability for the outcomes that they're driving, which are so exciting. And it's accelerated us, and it's been really exciting for our growth as well.
It's unheard of, but in a way, it is heard of. And let me explain.
Sure.
Because what you've done is you have creatives on staff doing work for you, and you've put them in a KPI position of an influencer.
Yeah.
So if an influencer is doing creative for you and it's called something else and it's a different budget line item,
Sure.
they still have to have a KPI in order to continue the relationship, et cetera. So the creatives are now you're using the same metric across output,
For sure.
which when you think about it, makes perfect sense.
Obviously, we think it does too. I think there was a little change management behind it because I do think it's a different working model than folks have become accustomed to. But I also do see, even when talking to peers, that this is where it's going. I think your creator example is a perfect example. If someone's external to the business, I would only use their content if it was driving great outcomes. But then somehow I'm not holding the internal team to the same expectation. But you have to be willing to reinvent yourself too. And so, yeah, so we took a swing at it. We said if it doesn't work, we'll move on to the next thing. But it's been something that's really worked for us and has allowed us to learn a lot faster.
Wonderful. Let's talk about physical retail and what that means for you as CMO.
Sure. I'm probably the biggest fan of physical retail in the building, and the main reason for that is what better brand experience could you have than walking into a Wayfair store, being surrounded by the brand, being surrounded by the products, and really getting a very deep physical, emotional understanding of all the things that Wayfair can offer for a customer. So as an experience, it's been incredible. I think we've found customers coming in and saying things like, I just had no idea you did all of it. I had no idea you sold all of this. I had no idea you had these services like design services, or that you'd help me remodel my kitchen, right? And so there are things that we're able to do and bring to a customer just on an education standpoint. The other thing is frankly just access to customers that aren't, for as much as we have, I think, been the leaders of convincing folks that it's okay to buy a sofa online, 60% or more of that market is offline. Folks want to touch and feel the item. They want to sit on it. They want to see it in person. They want to validate it before they make a big purchase like that. And so to then have access and unlock really access to a customer base that could be multiples the size of the potential online customer base is just very exciting, I think, for us. And it's early, but we think just the upside is infinite, really.
The elements are there for a winning strategy. I want to thank you for your time.
Well,
I'm going to come around and get on camera with you and wave to the camera.
Here we go.
Yeah, now this is where it's at. Okay, we're going to say hey.
Hello.
Hey, thank you for coming
Yes.
on What Just Happened.
Thanks for having me.
All right.